Welcome to the July 2024 Committees meeting of Dubbo Regional Council. I advise that Council is now web streaming its standing committees and council meetings live to the internet, and as such, all those present should refrain from making any defamatory statements. Your attendance at this meeting is your acceptance of the condition that your image may be recorded and streamed to the internet, as well as being retained in the archive of the recorded council meetings and standing committee meetings. I now open the July 2024 Infrastructure Planning and Environment Committee, the time being 5:30 p.m. Councillor Ivey will now deliver the acknowledgement of country.
Thank you, Mr Chair. I would like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people who are the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting today. I would also like to pay respect to the elders, past, present and emerging, of the Wiradjuri Nation and extend that respect to other Aboriginal peoples from other nations who are present. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Item IPEC 24/42 is leave of absence. So I have a request for leave of absence from a number of councillors tonight. Councillor Lewis Burns, Councillor Vicky Etheridge, Councillor Damien Martin and Councillor Pam Wells. And just noting that Councillor Ivey is attending via audio-visual link tonight. Can I please have somebody move that those leave of absence be noted? Councillor Dickerson, second. Councillor Chowdhury. Any questions or debate? No, we'll put that. All those in favour? And against? And carried. Item IPEC 24/43 is conflicts of interest. Do we have any conflict of interest to declare for the Infrastructure Planning and Environment Committee this evening? No conflicts of interest. We'll move right along. Item IPEC 24/44 is the building summary for June 2024. Can I please have someone move the recommendation of the report of the Director of Development and Environment? Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. Seconded. Councillor Dickerson. Thank you. Councillor Chowdhury, do you want to speak to that motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a question. There was a 12% down of the application from the compared to last financial year. Is there any reason why it's getting down when we see a housing market is pretty need more booming?
Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. Probably a number of reasons for that, I would think, and I'll go through to the Chair, to Director Steve Wallace. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When you say 12%, Councillor Chowdhury,
Page 3.
Page 3. So you're not talking about the residential? You're talking about the value, is that right?
Yes, correct.
Right. Okay. So yes, whilst the value is down 12% for the last financial year, it's measured against the previous financial year at $370 million. That was a very big year. It was a standout year. I think there was probably one other year in history that exceeded that. So $331 million in excess of. It's still a very great outcome considering we did have a hot and cold year. So, for example, dwellings were trending towards 500, and then around December they started to drop off towards what we then got at 356. So, very much a tale of two halves of the year. So, a very strong start to the year, and indeed, as we show there that there was 3 approvals in June. So, in the last month of the year, and I think the overall value for that month was 52 million. So we finished off rather strongly in that month in terms of value. We had a hot and cold year for residential, and overall $331 million is an excellent result for development for the city, given that I think the point I'll note is we were trending to go much higher than that as well, so it could have been exceptional.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Any further questions, Councillor Chowdhury? Any other questions or comments regarding that matter? It's interesting to note the about $45 million of last month being just those 3 developments, 3 substantial developments, and great to see the shopping centre, obviously at the last council meeting, the Wiradjuri Tourism Centre, which I know there'll be many members of the community really excited to see that DA through, and the Dubbo Christian School development. So 45 million in 3 substantial developments is pretty exciting too. So. No other comments or questions at all. We'll put that motion. All those in favour? And against? And carried. Thank you. Item IPEC 24/45 is the Dubbo Stampede Running Festival temporary road closure. Please have somebody move the recommendation of the report of the Senior Traffic Engineer. Thank you, Councillor Goff. Second, Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Goff, any questions or comments or speak to that motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
No other questions or debate regarding that item? If not, we'll put that. All those in favour? And against? And carried. Next one is item IPEC 24/46, which is the proposed heavy vehicle haulage route for South East Dubbo. Can I please have someone move the recommendation of the report of the Manager Growth Planning? Thank you, Councillor Black. Second, Councillor Dickerson. Councillor Black, did you want to speak to that motion?
Oh, just a few quick comments. I think this will be a pretty good outcome, noting that the school zones are 40 kilometres, and for half an hour of those 1 hour time slots, so under this plan there won't be any trucks going past. The only minor concern I have is the trucks using the brand new boundary road, running up and down there fully loaded, and the impact that may have on that road. And the other thing is that with the plan for the Southern Distributor, it also really highlights the lack of a plan really for a western bypass, a north-south bypass to Newell Highway, where we could get trucks out of Dubbo, and the planning that needs to take place so that we can reserve the route there before it's all built out with houses. And then we look back in 20 years' time and say, oh, can't do that now because there's all houses there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Any other comments or questions regarding that? Councillor Chowdhury, please. And come to you, Councillor Ivey, after Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's really good to see Southern Distributor getting formed. I just have a little question through you, Mr. Chair. How is that consultation going through with the school and the residents living in the boundary road and the Wheelers land?
Good question through you, Mr. CEO. Through to Mr. Ryan. Thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. Certainly, the discussions with the schools have actually triggered a real good look at this, and that started probably about 18 months ago. So we've been having meetings with the schools to work out what this looks like in terms of a final arrangement. So we've always the Southern Distributor that's shown in the report as the red and the blue lines. That's the ultimate solution, and that's really what we're aiming for to get to. But we've got this interim solution as what the body of this report's about. In terms of the consultation with the schools, so in the last the last couple of months, we haven't had a lot of consultation with the schools, but certainly I've sent out 2 lots of information to the principals, and they're the ones that we've mainly been dealing with throughout this whole process to let them know that this is the preferred option that we've got at the moment, because it has chopped and changed a little bit with the different bits of information that we've got in terms of the functioning of intersections, the safety audits that we've taken on the road. So we've got to look at all that and then come up with a preferred option in terms of what we recommend to council. And that's what we've got in this report. But certainly there will be more consultation with the schools after that. The real key component of that was the conflict with kids and trucks. And this option in terms of taking the trucks out totally eliminates trucks in that half-hour period for the peak drop-off and the pickup, not just to the companies that were conditioned not to. So it's actually full exclusion of trucks unless they've got a destination in there in that period, but it also excludes school buses who are able to access the area.
Any further questions, Councillor Chowdhury?
No, all good. Thank you.
Councillor Ivey.
No, my question was the same thing about the consultation with the schools. But can I just use the opportunity to endorse Councillor Black's comments about the absolute need for a western bypass? I know we're talking about the southern bypass now, but the western bypass, Blind Freddie can tell you that it's an absolute must.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments, Councillor Chowdhury. No other further comments? Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Other further questions or comments? I might just throw one in there. I just noticed that on page 65, it talks option 5, I think it is, looking at the colours there, which is just a straight through road, which obviously doesn't go through Blue Ridge, but it just goes straight up the Southern Distributor up to that highway. And I'm just looking at the table on the following page, which sort of indicates there's probably nearly as many as green flags there as there is for maybe option 3, which looks like a preferred option. Can you just talk me through a little bit about why maybe that particular option straight through, which doesn't go through Blue Ridge and it goes through a bit of a greenfield side, if you like, might not be such a silly option?
Through you, Mr. Chair, and I'll put that question through to Mark Johnson, who's our Manager of Infrastructure Strategy and Design.
Through you, Mr. Chair. The option 5, so just to confirm, that's the option that's proposed to shoot straight up the Paper Road corridor from Sheraton Road to the Blue Ridge Drive Mitchell Highway intersection. That option was proposed. The main issue with that is the construction and the complexity surrounding the drainage. We have a drainage channel running along the Paper Road corridor. That option would require that we fill in the drainage channel and put large underground pipes under the road. So it is an expensive option. And in addition to that, the overall, if you consider the overall cost of implementing that as an interim option and then the long-term option of the Southern Distributor out to the Mitchell Highway, there is a bit of a waste of expenditure there for shooting that up to Blue Ridge Drive in the meantime. So the option straight up the Paper Road corridor is not ideal from a long-term route perspective because you are mixing heavy vehicles and distributor traffic through the Blue Ridge Drive intersection. So it is preferred to go out the long-term route through Blue Ridge. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thanks very much for that response. Just to you, Councillor Black, for any right of reply? No. Well, we'll put that. All those in favour? And against, and carried. Next item is item IPEC 24/47. It's the draft planning agreement around a battery energy storage system, results of public exhibition. Can I please have someone move the recommendation of the report of the Manager Growth Planning? Councillor Ivey. Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Seconded by Councillor Goff. Councillor Ivey, you want to speak to that motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to say that that it's a very favourable public response. I think there weren't very many respondents, but those that were, the majority were in favour. In fact, probably even the response to it was a bit underwhelming. But I think it does support that the action that council's taking to promote that sort of development, and that development does produce some flow of benefits back to the community once the community realises that the money does flow to the community as a result of that development. I think the majority of the community will be in favour.
Noted. Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Any other comments or questions regarding that item? If not, we will put that. All those in favour? And against, and carried. Thank you. That's it. Okay, there are no further items. I declare the Infrastructure Planning and Environment Committee closed, at the time being 5:44 p.m.
I now open the July 2024 Culture and Community Committee meeting, the time being 5:45 p.m. Item CCC 24/37, leave of absence. I have a request of leave of absence from Councillor Etheridge, Councillor Mann, Councillor Wells and Councillor Burns. Can someone move this? Councillor Chowdhury, second by Councillor Dickerson. No comments or debate? All those in favour? Declare the motion carried. Item CCC 24/38, conflicts of interest. We have no conflicts of interest to declare. The next item for consideration in the Culture and Community Committee is deemed confidential. Can I have someone move to defer item CCC 24/39 to be dealt with at the end of the Corporate Services Committee meeting in the confidential section? Councillor Wright, second by Councillor Chowdhury. Any questions or debate? All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. As there are no more further items, I declare the Culture and Community Committee meeting closed at the time being 5:46 p.m.
Thank you, councillors. I now open the July 2024 Corporate Services Committee meeting, the time being 5:46 p.m. Item CSC 2430 is leave of absence of a request for leave of absence from Councillors Burns, Etheridge, Mann and Wells. Can someone move that, please? Thank you, Councillor Goff, second by Councillor Wright. Discussion or debate? Being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CSC 24/31. No conflicts of interest that I know of being declared. Any conflicts, councillors? No. I'll move on to the next item. CSC 24/32, report of the Wellington Town Committee meeting. Someone move that report. Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Seconded by Councillor Goff. Councillor Ivey, do you wish to speak to that?
Only just very briefly, Mr. Chair, to again, I've said before, but the meetings of the Wellington Town Committee are quite well supported. We do cover a lot of interesting and relevant subjects. I think the committee is considered, the work of the committee is well and truly worthwhile. And I know that a lot of the members of that committee do appreciate the inputs that staff make. It does seem to be a really good nexus between the community and staff, and I think it helps and goes a long way towards really making the community and staff and the council much more cohesive and understanding of where each party is coming from. So in that sense alone, I think it's a really worthwhile committee.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Any further discussion or debate, councillors, on CSC 24/32? No, there being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CSC 24/33, report of the Villages Committee. Have someone move that, please. Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Ivey, do you wish to speak to that?
Only to repeat the comments I made in respect of the Wellington Committee, Wellington Town Committee, Mr. Chair. Again, the Villages Committee is well represented by the smaller communities scattered throughout our LGA, and it does provide a really good opportunity to feedback to council and from council back to those smaller communities.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Any other discussion or debate, councillors? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. CSC 24/34, report of the WA Regional Livestock Markets Advisory Committee. Can someone move that, please? Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury, seconded by Councillor Wright. Councillor Chowdhury, do you wish to speak to that?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Discussion or debate, councillors? There being none, sorry, Councillor Ivey. No, you're just moving your camera. There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CSC 24/35, monthly reporting snapshot for councillors. Have someone move that way, please. Thank you, Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Goff. I'm still assuming that's just your hand, Councillor Ivey, holding up something rather than putting your hand up. Yes? Okay, Councillor Wright, do you wish to speak to that?
No, thanks, Mr. Chair.
Any discussion or debate, councillors? There being none. I put
The-
that. All those in. Oh, sorry, Councillor Ivey. Yep.
Is-
You got anything, Don?
Mr. Chair, I was just going to ask if there's any explanation of how the budgeting versus actual reporting works within council. I noticed that on page 20 that the year-to-date, the budgeted year-to-date revenue and the actual year-to-date revenue were exactly the same. Is that just an anomaly or an idiosyncratic thing within the local government accounting and reporting mechanism?
Certainly, Councillor Ivey. You just started to fade out at the end there, but I think I heard you say that the staff are very clever to be able to get it done as accurately as that. But I'll just hand from the CEO to Ms. Bassingwaite. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That the figures for the budget is based off the March quarter review, so therefore it isn't the original budget. There would be more difference if it was based off the original budget, which is 12 months prior set. So because it's set on a more certainty in the March quarter review, that's why it is a bit closer.
So, Mr.
Thank you.
CEO, you'd like to add to that?
Just to say, so, we could put an additional graph in the report that actually compares it to the initial adopted budget in, somewhere in the 30th of June. So it's another way we could report if council so choose, particularly in the new term.
So I think essentially because it's being updated every quarter, it obviously ends up being much closer because you're not doing a whole year in advance. Councillor Ivey, anything follow up from that?
Yeah, only just yes, I agree with the CEO's comment. I think that would be quite useful just to say, look, 12 months ago, this is what we thought was going to happen, and this is what did happen. If anything, what are the lessons from the comparison of those two figures?
So are you moving an amendment so that we make that a standard part of the reporting, or it's just a general comment for the staff to take on board at this stage?
I think it could just be a general comment for the staff to take on board. I presume there wouldn't be too much objection. It's probably not a very onerous task, but leave them to have a look at that and see whether it's feasible.
Certainly, the CEO has given me a thumbs up. Therefore, he's heard that, and something along those lines will be implemented at some stage in the future, in the goodness of time. Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is very useful report, giving us a lot of insight what happening. I have a question through you, Mr. Chair. Page 24, Double Visitor Information Center. The visitor decreased half of them. Is there any reason, or is that good or bad? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. I'll go through the CEO to Mr. Jennings. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So basically, I think moreover seasonal factors than anything else. We are undertaking a service review of our visitor information service at the moment, and also we are looking, of course, at those numbers and also the services that both Dubbo and Wellington offer.
So probably the only other thing there I'd say, Mr. Jennings, is I assume Councillor Chowdhury is not looking so much seasonal. He's probably looking straight down the line, say at June, where we had 6,300 last year and 3,900 this year. So not so much seasonal, but that's probably a reflection, Councillor Chowdhury, on the fact that more people are accessing the information online rather than physically going in. And during the pandemic, and obviously the numbers jumped up there. You look at the 2019-20 year, 3,206. So we're above the pre-pandemic year. During the pandemic, we know we had when borders were closed, but intrastate was open, then you did find that there was a lot of visitation from metro areas out to regional areas. So some of those numbers might be partly that visitation. Some of those might be partly the fact that people are now doing more online. Anything you want to add to that, Ms. CEO?
That was what I was going to add. But then also we are doing much deeper dive and getting granular detail as part of that service review. And so there is a trend of people accessing information online. So we'll be able to have that data before council in due course.
Right, thank you. Councillor Chowdhury, anything else further on that?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions or debate, councillors? Councillor Wright, do you need a right of reply?
No, thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councillor, put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. CSC 24/36, investment under Section 625 of the Local Government Act. Can I have someone move that, please? Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury, seconded by Councillor Black. Councillor Chowdhury, do you wish to speak to that?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any discussion or debate, councillors? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item is CSC 24/37, 24/25 proposed 2-week shutdown. Can I have someone move that, please? Thank you, Councillor Black. Seconded by Councillor Wright. Councillor Black, do you wish to speak to that?
Only very briefly to say that it looks like there's been some good amendments and learnings taken from the first run of this last Christmas New Year period, and hopefully lots of little kinks will be ironed out given that experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Other comments or debate, councillors? No? Oh, sorry, Councillor Ivey.
Just to follow on from Councillor Black's comments, one of the chinks that we had last year were involving the funeral business and the access to burial services. I understand that has been taken account of and will be operative again this coming season. But just a question through you, Mr. Chair, perhaps to the CEO: has there been a lot of information dissemination back to the funeral directors throughout the area to alert them to what the procedure would be during that shutdown period?
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Mr. CEO.
Certainly in building the response and looking how we can repair, I guess, our systems and approach over the Christmas. So there was early consultation to build up this solution as well. And there's certainly been ongoing discussions pending this recommendation from Council that's going to enable staff to drop in a lot more detail and plan with them and get them to understand what we've put in place. So there are resources that are available through our whilst you won't go through the customer experience phone line, there'll be an on-call administrative staff member to do the bookings and what have you, and we'll have those staff available to do the actual physical work involved in funeral services as well. So we'll be dropping into, pending Council's decision, that finer grain level of detail once we have had certainty, but there has been a lot of consultation to build this to this point.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Councillor Ivey, further from that? Thank you. Any further discussion or debate? No, I don't think we need a right of reply from what was said there, Councillor Black. Okay, all those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CSC 24/38, the update in the investigations of potential boundary alteration with North Yeovil. Have someone move that way, please. Thank you, Councillor Black. Seconded by Councillor Goff. Councillor Black, do you wish to speak to that? No. Any discussions or debate, councillors? Councillor Ivey.
Just a question through you, Mr. Chair. The response from Cabonne Council, verifying that has been positive to date, and also then perhaps just a brief outline of what is to be done in the short term to continue to progress this whole transfer process.
Happy to go through you, Mr. CEO, to Mr. Jennings.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So just with the first question there, the response from Cabonne Council, we have had a number of conversations over the last 4 or 5 months with Cabonne Council. At this stage have been positive. They see the benefits of the boundary or the proposed boundary change as well. From there, the process moving forward from here, we have undertaken the initial consultation with community. Now we need to move forward into a sort of more significant round of consultation with community where we can have as many one-on-one conversations as possible to get that community feedback, whilst also continuing our conversations with Cabonne Council in respect of servicing and also, of course, planning controls moving forward as well, and to give some certainty for community. Following the completion of the consultation and those further investigations, we will look to seek the formal views of Cabonne Council in the process, and then also coming back to Council to Dubbo Regional Council, of course, with a further report with the results of that process. Following Council's consideration of that future report, if Council resolves to move forward with the boundary change at that stage, that's where there will be application made to the Minister for Local Government.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings. Councillor Ivey, further?
Just to perhaps comment with that last comment, Mr. Jennings, what's your best bet of when that timetable might be? When might we be in a position to approach the office?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. CEO, to Mr. Jennings.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So, given the local government election and the timing that's involved there as well, we're looking to do the consultation over the next 2 or 3 months, and that consideration, we would look to bring the new council basically into the process. So basically the proposal's understood in the later half or part of this year, and then hopefully look to have a report to council soon after. We don't have any certainty in respect of how long the actual change process would take with government, because the consultation that we've had with the Office of Local Government at this stage was based on the fact that with the local government election, any boundary changes would effectively be put on hold, but we will continue that consultation to try and give council and community some more certainty in timing over the next few months.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings. Further, Councillor Ivey? Okay. Right, thank you, councillors. Any other discussion or debate, councillors? Councillor Black again. You probably don't need to reply on those questions. Okay, I put that, councillors. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Now, the next item is there's a recommendation in the papers, but we actually need one of our various options, CC 24/39, to be moved in relation to this. So, Councillor Ivey, you've got your hand up there.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I would move that the Australia Day ceremonies for Wellington be held on the evening of Friday, the 24th of 2025, of January 2025, and that the ceremony for Dubbo be held on the evening of Saturday, the 25th of January 2025, and that then items 2 and 3 specified, say in option 1, be included in that that motion.
So, Councillor Ivey, could I be so bold as to suggest that it looks like option 2 in our papers is the one that you're looking at, so that Australia Day be held at 6:30. Oh no, so that had Victoria Park. That was the other way around. So there wasn't one of the standard options in there, was there?
No, I don't think so. I think it's similar to option 2, but different.
Okay, so essentially, if we said option 2, but instead of it being at Victoria Park, so Dubbo and Victoria Park, it'd be Wellington at Cameron Park, and then the other parts, so that parts 3 and 4 are the same as option 2, but it would just switch over the 2 dates there, if you like. That sound correct?
Yep. Yes. Yep.
Yep. Okay, so I've got essentially, let's call it option 7, but the same as option 2 with the 2 switched over. So Friday for Wellington, Saturday for Dubbo. Okay, I'll just get a seconder first, Councillor Ivey, before you speak to that. Can I have a seconder for that, please? I'm happy to second that. Oh, Councillor Wright, thank you. Okay, Councillor Ivey, you should speak to your resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, look, it's a different situation next year with Australia Day, the 26th, falling on a Sunday, the Monday being therefore a holiday, bringing in a long weekend. I'm very keen that we do preserve the importance and the reverence, if you like, with which Australia Day, the 26th of January, is held. But I'm also mindful of the fact that particularly this year, with the Sunday being in the middle of the long weekend, that it will be difficult for some people to attend. They'll be away for the long weekend, and in particular, it may well be difficult for some of the recipients of awards to attend. And so therefore, I'd like to bring particularly the Wellington event through to the Friday evening. I know it's sort of a day and a half away from the 26th of January, But I think that again, it should be possible to distinguish between the ceremony of awardees receiving their awards and actually celebrating Australia Day as being the 26th of January. I think the move to separate those two events to make the event more inclusive for our whole community. I am mindful of the fact that the 26th of January means different things to different people, and that the Indigenous sector of our community don't like necessarily the celebration of Australia Day. But I think that by doing this, we get involvement from different sections of the community who recognise the importance of Australia Day being the 26th of January, and that those separations of those times from Australia Day, in the case of Wellington, till the Friday evening, enables that to happen. I'd love to see more involvement of school children in the event, and I think that by bringing it forward to the Friday evening at the end of a week, I know it's still within the school holidays, but the Friday evening probably is a little bit easier for children to be organised and to participate in the event. I just think that by bringing it to an evening event, it's likely that we'll get a bigger participation, and hence the motion to bring it forward for Wellington on the Friday night. The comments that I've just made also applied to Dubbo, and therefore I'd, part of the motion, introduce the idea of Dubbo's ceremony being held on the eve of Australia Day. It's consistent. People will say, yes, but what about why don't have it on the Australia Day? And I say again that the Australia Day National Award, perhaps the most prestigious award that we can give to the community, the Australian of the Year federally, is presented and announced on the eve of Australia Day. It's not announced on Australia Day. And by doing that, it doesn't in any way detract from the importance of Australia Day. So I think that bringing the ceremony forward from Australia Day, that then enables people to celebrate Australia Day on the day how they wish, by going to the dam, by having a barbecue, by playing backyard cricket, whatever they want to do. That's really facilitating that situation. So hence the motion to have the two events on the Friday night and the Saturday night for Wellington and Dubbo. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Now, before I open up for debate, I'll just explain a little bit in terms of the process. In terms of amendments, if someone wants to move an amendment, that's fine. But if it's an amendment to change one of those days, so for example, you didn't like Friday for Wellington, you wanted Sunday for Wellington, then I won't accept an amendment because that would be a direct negative. But you can foreshadow that you might want to change that. And then if this motion is defeated, you can bring forward another two dates. And I'll accept two dates, even if one of those is the same, in another motion. Again, foreshadow that if you want, because the combination of the two would be a different motion. So just so councillors are aware about how they need to attack it. If they want these days or want different days, I'd put forward your views, but just keep in mind the process with amendments and different resolutions. So thank you, Councillor Ivey. Other discussion and debate? Councillor Goff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can't support this current motion. I personally have seen how the last 2 years have worked, where Wellington is on the evening before Australia Day, and then those people who want to celebrate Australia Day have that option still on Australia Day to go to Dubbo and do the ceremony. I know it's brave to move everything off Australia Day. I just don't feel that the whole community is ready for that. And I will foreshadow option 5 in our business papers. Option 5 is to have the Wellington ceremony on the Saturday evening with the 25th and the Dubbo ceremony on the Sunday morning, as it has been for the last 2 years.
Thank you, Councillor Goff. And again, as I mentioned before, you just need to defeat, if you want to go the way Councillor Goff spoke, defeat this motion, and then Councillor Goff has the first option to put an alternative motion forward as that foreshadowed motion. Thank you. Other discussion or debate, councillors? Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'm going to echo much of what Councillor Ivey just said. I've written a fair few notes down here, which echoes the same thing. Look, Australia Day, it's sensitive because the community has varying ideas on how the day should be commemorated, and this issue isn't not necessarily about dealing with that sensitivity. Well, I suppose it partly is, but it's really about giving as many members of the community as possible the opportunity to attend, and it's such an important commemoration. And noting that it's a long weekend, it's also the last weekend prior to school returning. I guess I'd like to genuinely look for ways to not only commemorate the day, but to also find a way around avoiding what will be a conflicting time frame for many people in the community. So, and I just want to say that the beauty of these standing committee meetings is that this final decision is not made for another 2 weeks. We've got a council meeting in a fortnight's time, and it does give community members with genuine input and concerns the opportunity to reach out to councillors and express their thoughts and genuinely come up with ways that we might be able to not only commemorate but avoid some of these conflicts that myself and even Councillor Ivey has sort of produced. So look, I'm happy to support the motion as it sits. It might look very different in a couple of weeks' time with some community feedback and community concerns, but certainly it's a tough decision, and it's very sensitive for many members of the community. But looking for a solution and hopefully some feedback from community in the next couple of weeks as well.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Further discussion, Councillor Chowdhury, and then Councillor Black.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will vote against this current motion because I will much supporting to Councillor Gough option 5, because as we keep saying, we are one, and this community need to be have a right to celebration on the Australia Day, and I'll go with the current format as we doing last 2 years, like a Saturday night and Sunday morning at double, like a double. So I'll vote against this current motion.
Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Black.
Thank you. First of all, I think this is a decision that probably should be made by the next council, since they will be the ones undertaking the ceremonies on whatever days. But given that's going to be made tonight, I don't support Councillor Ivey's motion. I think that the date's been set by the Commonwealth Government. It's up to them to change the date if they want to do that. Not up to this council here. I'm not wedded to any particular date, but if the date did get changed, I think that fundamentally we should be commemorating whatever the national day is on the national day, whenever that is. We don't celebrate Anzac Day on a day other than the 25th of April. We don't celebrate Christmas Day on another day, Good Friday, Easter Sunday. So that's why fundamentally I believe that Australia Day should be commemorated on the 26th. But also, look, it's not necessary for councillors to go to 2 commemorations. We shouldn't think of ourselves as that important, that it's necessary for us to run from one to the other. I'm sure the community can get on just fine without a whole heap of councillors going to both. And look, really, if no one is forced to go to an Australia Day ceremony, if people want to go away on the Friday night for the long weekend, then they're going to do that. If they want to go to Australia Day ceremony on the Sunday, the actual 26th, the day of, the national day, then they can go or not go. So I don't go much on the idea that we need to move our ceremonies around so that people can go away for a long weekend. They don't have to go. No one is made to go on the 26th, which would be the Sunday. So saying if there was the idea to have it earlier so that people would get away for a whole long weekend and not have their long weekend interrupted, well, I don't buy that argument at all. So Councillor Gough's motion of option 5 has some merit to it, but I'd foreshadow that if motion option 5 was defeated, that I would move option 4, which is that we have Dubbo and Wellington both on the morning of the 26th, the Sunday morning, and I will move that up should this motion be defeated, and then Councillor Gough's motion be defeated. Principally because, like I said, fundamentally I believe that we should be commemorating the National Day on the actual National Day, whatever day that is. I know that there's a whole heap of other sensitivities there, but it's ultimately up to the federal government to have the guts to change that date. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. And further discussion, keeping in mind, councillors, that these committees, so we've got more relaxed rules than a council meeting, so you can enter the debate again. You can come back in and enter the debate as many times as you like. You don't have to phrase it as a question if you want to have any more to say, so you can respond to other councillors if you so desire before I finally go back to Councillor Ivey for a right of reply. So any other discussion or debate, councillors, you wish to bring forward? Councillor Wright.
I was just going to say, in respect to a couple of Councillor Black's comments there about moving the day, I don't think it's about moving the day as such. I think there's still that value around the 26th of January, and but certainly this year it looks like we're commemorating Australia Day on the Monday, because that's when everyone has their public holiday. Maybe they should scrap the public holiday and we have it all on the Sunday, because that's when Australia Day is. But I don't think it's about that. I think it's still about commemorating the day. I just think it's trying to work around to get a maximum number of people who may wish to attend. So they, I suppose, for want of a better word, have their cake and eat it. They can attend an event and they can go away for their long weekend and celebrate some time with their family. So that's more the way I see it, rather than moving the day. But yeah, thank you. Yep. So.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Any further, Councillor Black?
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Ivey's comments previously were principally, it wasn't about logistics so much as principally about making a social statement about the actual date of the commemoration of Australia Day in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Any further discussion or debate, councillors? No? Oh, yeah, Councillor Wright, yep.
I might just ask a question. It was just more about some of the feedback that we received, especially from the Wellington community, about attendance by councillors out there. Was there some feedback with respect to that and some positive comments about councillor attendance?
Happy to go through to the CEO, to someone who might have the survey sitting in front of them to be able to bring up those results. Ms. Rouse, no pressure, but do you have something there that might be helpful to us?
There was a survey undertaken in 2023, and that said that 63% of the Wellington survey participants preferred events on the 26th, 33% preferred the 25th. They didn't mention specifically councillors going to both events. You may recall positive comments on the day of the ceremony, though.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, it was only with respect to Ms. Rouse's comment there about just some positive comments about having some good representation from councillors on that one. So just think that the opportunity to attend both, especially I think Wellington do appreciate seeing all the councillors out there. They feel a bit left alone sometimes, so to have that representation, I think, is valuable. So,
and just before I go back to Councillor Ivey, unless there's other questions, I might just ask the CEO in relation to the timing of this. Obviously we're now in July making a decision for this, and I suppose the question to the CEO, and I'll make it a leading question, but if we did wait until a new council was elected, obviously the first opportunity they'd really have to make a decision on this would be late October, presumably. You wouldn't be able to have enough information to new councillors at the very first meeting, which would essentially be the mayoral election, so by the end of October. So what does that do? Because an option is a council could say that they defer the decision till the next council. I'm not saying that, I'm just saying that is an option. But Mr. CEO, in terms of that timing, how would that work if we didn't have a decision about this until the end of October?
You would not be able to book, so depending on what council laws in consultation with staff wanted to have as part of a function, we had less opportunity to book things. I think and I'll use the experience of when council first determined to move Wellington to the evening before. That was fairly late in the piece, and that staff found it quite hard to get food vans and what have you. So you could do that, and that would be valid for that reason. It would just know that it'd be a somewhat I would suggest it would be likely be a scaled back program, quite the civic ceremony. There wouldn't be as much opportunity to have add-ons to the civic ceremony part of the day. So whether it's markets, food vans and fall. I might throw to Ms. Rouse, who recalls trying to set up that first change up.
We are really pushed for time when we make a later decision. There's been a lot of feedback to get more school communities involved and more youth, and the last time we didn't have time to book those in a couple of years ago. So once we get a decision on the date, we also have to go through the expression of interest process for the award, the Australia Day committees, which deliberate on the awards. So that takes time, getting the awards out, getting the nominations received, getting them back, keeping in mind this all goes on stretches sometimes over a Christmas and New Year break, which means we are really pushed to get it all together in time for 25-26 January.
And presumably, I mean, some of those things could still happen in terms of you could still have a committee being put together and the date to be advised. You could still have the award process happening, but it would really be about the events on the day or the days before in terms of planning for some of those things. Because surprisingly enough, Australia Day is a popular day. So you've got lots of the food vendors and lots of the various organisations are in demand at that time. So I suppose that's where the harder part would be. And I suppose keep in mind that if we make a decision in July, there'll be a new council elected, they'll be in October, and if they felt strongly about it, then they wouldn't even need a rescission motion because that October meeting would be 3 months after this meeting. So it might throw a bit of a spanner in the works, but a new council could say, first order of business, we've heard this feedback from the community. I stood on a platform of keep Australia Day, whatever it might be. I'm not giving people ideas here, but they might do something like that. And then they could have a different resolution, and that would be difficult for staff, but at least then you could change that if council really wanted to do that way. Sorry, Ms. Rouse, do you want to follow up from that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that would be manageable. So whichever way the council decides to go, that would be manageable.
Spoken like a true servant of the community, Ms. Rouse. So deferral is an option as well, or making a decision, and then the new council will say it'll be 3 months after that. They could make a decision without even requiring a rescission motion. So that's giving you as much information as I possibly can give you about that. Before I go back to Councillor Ivey for a right of reply, any further discussion or debate, councillors? No. And keep in mind, as one comment was made, this is a recommendation only. So for anyone watching out there, it's a recommendation only. So no decision will be made until the council meeting in 2 weeks' time, which means that everyone in the community, whatever decision we make here, whatever recommendation, the community's got every opportunity to give feedback to councillors. Councillor Ivey, a right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Picking up on the comment about if the Commonwealth wants to change the date, they can. It's not up to us. It's not about changing the date. I'm a great supporter of Australia Day being the 26th of January. I think it's enormously important, and I would argue very strongly to retain that date. My view is, though, unless the community changes the nature of Australia Day, we will lose that argument. The date will be changed. And I think that the sort of what's come out in the last couple of years really supports that view that we really do have to change the of what Australia Day means, to acknowledge that it is enormously important to all sectors of the community, but for different reasons. And I think that unless we change just celebrating the 26th of January on the 26th of January, as I say, my feeling is that we will lose that, and that the date will eventually will be changed. And I think that would be a great pity. Going back to the celebration of Australia Day, I say again, our national award, the most important award, the Australian of the Year, is announced in great fanfare at a great ceremony, at an enormously important ceremony on the eve of Australia Day. So I think that by having our local ceremonies and awardees receive their awards on a day other than Australia Day is entirely consistent with what's happening in a federal level. The other thing is that no, we're not just catering for people who want to go away, and we're giving them the opportunity to come to the award. But we are saying, look, really, we do need to engage the community as much as we possibly can. We want to give the awardees of who do receive our awards as much publicity and as much public adulation as we can, and therefore it is great if we get people to attend at the ceremony. And I just think we will get more people under these circumstances. We'll get more people to attend, particularly on a Friday night than a Saturday night. The Friday night being the precursor to a long weekend, and I think that alone is a good enough reason to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. So we've got that at the moment. So this is, just to remind everyone, this is essentially option 2 with the 2 locations switched. So this will be Friday night in Wellington for Australia Day, Saturday night in Dubbo for Australia Day. So I put that. All those in favour? Against? Okay. As per section 20.16 of the Code of Meeting Practice, the chair of the meeting has a casting vote, so I declare that carried. Yes, thank you. Thank you, councillors. So, next item on the agenda, CSC 24/40, quarterly report on complaint stats under Council's Code of Conduct. So I'll move that way, please. Councillor Black, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Wright. Councillor Black, do you wish to speak to that? Right, thank you. Any discussion or debate, councillors? Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The report was looking really good. Last couple of quarter, we haven't got any like a complaint. Suddenly we got 2 complaints. So my question through you, Mr. Chair, how this complaint, like when council received, how this complaint dealing, like how they dealt with this complaint?
Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. I'll go through to the CEO to give you an update on the process, on the procedure for dealing with Code of Conduct complaints. Thank you, Mr. CEO.
It's a several-page document, I hasten to add, so I'll be an overview. So there's given to us by the Office of Local Government is the procedures for the administration of the Code of Conduct. And there's a very low bar. So if there is a complaint received about a councillor, I would argue it's a very low bar, and they still put my role, the CEO GM role, to do this initial analysis, to either move it on to an independent reviewer or to reject it at the outset. And there's key criteria to reject at the outset for obvious reasons. You would suggest that the recipe given to us by government has an inherent conflict of interest. That's why I describe it as a low bar by which a complaint will get forward to an independent reviewer. They will then do that in a hands-off way. It gets, they work with our governance team in doing that, and then they bring their findings, as it were. Sometimes it's very quick, where they could find that there is no substance and therefore it goes no further. So even though they're registered a Code of Conduct complaint, they are either rejected by the independent reviewer. They can be rejected earlier by the person in my role. And I hasten to add that a Code of Conduct complaint about myself goes via the Mayor. Then there's other ways it might be dealt with through alternative means, so resolved very quickly without having to go ongoing through the Code of Conduct process. That's a formal way of doing it, right up to where a report gets provided via the governance team from the independent reviewer to a council for consideration as to the sanctions. So, and that of course is even more serious, which goes to the Office of Local Government, by which you may have heard in other areas, I hasten to add, where council laws may be suspended and what have you. So across that, that's a one-pager on the procedures for the administration of the Code of Conduct.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. How's that for a very complicated process and procedure, Councillor Chowdhury? That was a very good brief summary. Any further questions on that?
No, all good.
Thank you. Other questions or comments, councillors? No. Councillor Black, no reply. Put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Next item, CSC 24/41, Privacy Management Plan, results of public exhibition period. Anyone wish to move that for me, please? Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. Seconded by Councillor Black. Councillor Chowdhury, do you wish to speak to that?
No, all good, Mr. Mayor.
Rightio. Any discussion or debate, councillors? There being none, I put that. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. That's the last item on there. Yes, it is. So just briefly before I sign off on that, that's the last of these committee meetings. The next part will be Councillor Goff doing the confidential component of one of her meetings, or her meeting, her chairpersonship. So just congratulations to Councillor Goff, Councillor Wright and Councillor Showery, who have been the chairs of these three committees, and previously Councillor Black and Councillor Mann were chairs of these committees as well. So as the last committee meetings, standing committee meetings of this council term, congratulations to all of you in the way you chaired all those meetings. I think all those meetings ran very well, ran very effectively, good discussion, good debate, and hopefully good outcomes. I mean, good outcomes from our perspective, but hopefully in the community, good outcomes as well. And I'll now hand back over to Councillor Goff so that she can move into confidential in her meeting. So I declare the meeting of Corporate Services Committee meeting closed at 6:30 p.m. and hand back over to Councillor Goff. Thank you.
Just start from here.
Probably should open the committee first.
Oh.
Anyway, and then move it.
Okay. I reopened the. What do I do? I reopened the Culture and Community Committee meeting at the time 6:31 p.m. The next item for consideration is deemed to be confidential. Yep. Under Section 10A of the Local Government Act, the next item, being item CCC 24/39, has been identified as likely to be discussed in a closed section of Council. Can I have someone move us into confidential section to deal with this confidential matter? Councillor Dickerson, second by Councillor Wright. I've had no applications from the members of the public to make their representations regarding whether the meeting should be closed for the public. Where am I going?
Any questions or debate?
Any questions or debate? No. I declare that all those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Can we have live streaming turned off, please? The committee returns to open session at 6:39 p.m. Welcome back. I now ask the Governance Officer to play the resolution from the confidential section. There are no further items for consideration of the Corporate Services Committee, and I declare the meeting closed at the time being 6:40 p.m. Web streaming has now been completed. Thank you for your attendance.